Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Simon Fowler. Simon, it's great to have you on the show.
Hi, it's great to be on the show.
Now, Simon is the Chief Executive Officer of the Empowering People Group. I feel empowered here having this conversation. And I guess really the moniker of the company almost says it all. We're going to be talking about people. We're going to be talking about talent and HR. And the Empowering People Group specializes in addressing HR pain points with a comprehensive approach that combines technology, people, and analytics. They draw from the assets that are in Advisor Plus, Halborn's Working Transitions and Learning Nexus to transform HR processes and employee engagement. And so we'll talk more about all the amazing things that Empowering People Group is doing. But before we do that, Simon, let's talk a little bit about Simon. Tell us about you and your career.
So I'm 54. I'm married to Jazz. I've got one adult son, Adam. I've been in business technology for most of my career. I started life as a systems tester, believe it or not, in Eagle Star Insurance. I'm not sure how many of our listeners will remember that. Got into it almost by accident, to be quite frank, but went from there, and it stuck with me. That kind of attention to detail and quality has stuck with me all the way through my career, I hope. I suppose I took my first real senior role probably when I was about 32. With a small software house based in Cheltenham in the UK. And I've been very lucky to lead some great teams, get some great results, and progress to where I am today, really, with Empowering People Group.
So, Simon, tell me more about the Empowering People Group. Tell me more about what you're up to there and just the general background.
So, I mean, obviously, you covered it fairly well in the introduction, but Empowering People Group is very much what it says. It's a group. We've brought four organizations together that have technology and services very focused around the employee relations area. So taking probably 20 years of services. We've had some great clients in the kind of financial services space. We've got customers such as Sainsbury's, Wix, other large enterprise organizations, and then we've overlaid technology. So we've done the services piece of that for a long time and have great relationships with our customers. And over probably the last 3 or 4 years, what we've done is overlaid technology in every area where we can, and obviously, like everybody else, looking at how AI can affect that going forward at the moment. But previously very much focused around some of our solutions, one of which particularly is the Empower solution.
We see that in every vertical, the topics that customers focus on ebb and flow. And you touched on something that I think probably a lot of customers are probably asking you about right now, which is AI. And certainly that's something that sits very squarely with people management and leadership training, et cetera. But tell me a little bit about some of the key topics that you and the team are wrestling with right now.
So obviously AI, as I mentioned, AI is one of the topics, but it's probably the latest topic. If you look at the progress that AI has made in the last 18 months, 2 years, it's absolutely fantastic. And I think there's much more to come in the HR, the people space around AI. And I very much believe that Empowering People Group will be right at the forefront of that. But I think what we talk to our customers a lot, as all good software organizations do. And one of the messages we got early on about AI was, we work with some very large financial services, which I can't name, but financial services organizations, very heavily regulated. So they, at this point in time, and we agree, is that we don't see AI starting to make decisions on employee relations cases because you just can't get it wrong. It's not okay to be right 95% of the time. And AI is fantastic, But sometimes, I type my own name into one of the AI tools, and even I'm surprised by what it brings back. So, it's not at the level of sophistication that you'd want it to start giving advice and things like that. So that's, I think, something that will definitely come in the future. I think for us at the moment, one of the issues that I'm very passionate about is kind of what's known as the accidental manager. And the reason why I'm so incredibly passionate about it is that it resonates with me in my career over the last however many years I care to mention. And what I mean by that is that, Gartner did some research recently, and I think they said that circa kind of 74% of the managers, the people managers that they interviewed for their research, were actually overwhelmed by the growth of their job. And around 82% of HR leaders felt that their managers were actually ill-equipped to lead change. And you and I were discussing before we came on air, and I think when I look back, I've been managing people, and I think I've been doing a decent job, but you might have to ask them about it. But I've been doing what I think is a decent job for a long time. But I don't think I've ever had any people management training that I can particularly put my finger on. And certainly in the UK, and certainly with the change of government, we are seeing a massive change in legislation. And as a people manager myself, it's some of the things that we have to deal with are changing literally month on month. We've just done a series of webinars about the changes that are coming down the pipe in the UK. And so what excites me about what we're doing at Empowering People Group is very much centered around one of our software solutions, which is called Empower, funnily enough. And what Empower does is it creates a framework. It's not case management, although it manages cases, but it manages them in a guided way. So you, for instance, if one of your colleagues came to you, or one of your employees that you were managing and responsible for came to you with an issue, to be quite frank, today in the UK, I'd have to think twice about what I said next, because there's so much has changed and is changing. I would be worried that I'm putting my foot in it, saying the wrong thing, not being supportive, worried about mental wellness, all of the things that we should be worried about. But
Yeah.
actually, I'm now in a situation where I'm not sure I want to quite get on with this, because I probably need to go and check what it is I have to do. Whereas what Empower allows people to do is to actually have a guided journey based on an organization's policies and procedures, plus obviously the legal restrictions, and can start that journey with the employee. So for me, the manager experience is so much more powerful, because they're not stressed about the fact, crikey, what do I do now? Okay, I better get hold of somebody in our ER or HR team so that I can deal with it. And the employee gets a better experience, because there's nothing more frustrating and probably upsetting for one of our colleagues if they are worried about something, there's something they really want to talk about, and actually the person that they want to talk to about it isn't quite ready to do it. And
Yeah.
unlike wine, the one thing we know about people issues is that they definitely do not get better with age.
Yeah. Well, I find it fascinating, Simon, as I listen to you. I mean, you have this career that touched on technology and really systems, but in reality, you are very insightful about people. And it's I think in some ways, it leads me perfectly to my next question, which is, when you think about what drives you in your career, where is the passion for what you do? Where does that come from?
So it comes from two things really. So funnily enough, people.
Yeah.
So, whilst I have been in technology, one of the things for me that's always been key is, now I am personally a complete technology geek. I
Hmm.
accept that, I know that, and I love it. But actually, that has never come. I can hear people that work with me going, I think it has. But that has never come into my working life, in so much as I've always been very conscious, and the thing that gives me great passion is seeing technology do something for people, do
Right.
something for organizations. I hate it when I see technology for technology's sake. I can do that when I'm sat here in a darkened room and just playing around with technology. That's great. But actually, in all of my working career, it's been very much about technology that actually helps move things forward. And people technology has mainly been in sort of kind of ERP finance and people. And I've always resonated with the people side of life. Find it fascinating as a manager. People have always been the thing for me. And, you know, there's lots of stuff written about it, which is like, get the people piece right of your business and you will get your business right, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think it's fascinating because there's no doubt that those two forces are the driving elements of our world, our modern world, really technology and people, and how the two come together and interface on almost every way. You know, we've been talking about AI. We've been talking about, you know, obviously the platforms, but also the people and making sure that they have the skills to kind of manage these rapidly evolving worlds that we're in.
Absolutely.
It's an incredible challenge, and it really requires all of those things to come together: technology, the people getting involved in those elements, and making it happen. Well, with that in mind, Simon, I mean, tell me a little bit about what's on the docket for you and the team in the back part of the year.
So in terms of empowering people group, it's kind of more of the same, really. It's getting that blend. So our product roadmap, as I say, will start to touch on AI as we go forward. But for me, it's the blend that we have at Empowering People Group around not just the technology, but actually the people that we employ. So not the people that we serve, but actually the people that work for us in our managed service piece. So we will continue to increase our proposition to the market. It's my belief that, you know, Empowering People Group should become, you know, a market leader, particularly in the UK, for the enterprise space around employee relations, and that's what, you know, pretty much all of my day every day is focused on making sure happens, to be honest.
I mean, there is so much happening in the world right now, and certainly a lot of this stuff will relate to how we evolve, the way we train individuals and get these elements right. Simon, if someone wanted to learn more about what you and the team are working on at Empowering People Group, where's the best place to reach you?
So feel free to email me personally, which is Simon Fowler at empoweringpeoplegroup.com. Or, of course, there's our website, which is empoweringpeoplegroup.com. And there's a myriad, as you can imagine, of contact forms on there. But somebody would love to talk to you about it.
Well, I'm going to challenge you here, Simon, a little bit. I loved this idea of the accidental manager, so I think you're on to something there. I can imagine that being a book that we all need to see at some point. So I'll put that little grain into your mind there and see where that goes. But it's been
Interesting.
wonderful talking to you today, Simon. We've been speaking with Simon Fowler. He is the Chief Executive Officer at the Empowering People Group. They're a dynamic organization dedicated to simplifying employee experiences through innovative tech-led solutions. We've talked about a lot of the stuff that they're working on, but really, you know, there's a lot of interesting things that we've discussed here, which is in a world where there's so much dynamic change, it requires leaders and managers to constantly figure out how to navigate that. And, you know, having the right technology, having the right tools, knowing how to use those things, how to navigate that stuff is going to be really the thing that separates the successful organizations from the ones that struggle. And Simon's going to make it all easy for all of us, right?
Absolutely. Simple is the way.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, and we look forward to having you back.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.